All right, welcome to topic 3. Topic 3 is going to be talking about powers to a power. And basically what that looks like is let's look at our first example problem. It's x to the third, and then that is even squared. So really it's saying I'm doing 2 of whatever's inside my parentheses. That just happens to be x to the third. So if I do x to the third times x to the third, now I'm just going to follow my rules that we normally would follow, and we do x, and then we can add x, and then 3 plus 3, which adds to x to the 6. A shortcut to this is to just multiply our two exponents together. So x and 3 times 2 is 6. So let's see this in the application. So here we're going to have, I'm going to first write it out so you can see where we're going. We're going to write that out 4 times. And we can do 3 plus 3 is 6, 6 plus 3 is 9, 9 plus 3 is 12. Or we could have done 3 times 4 and gotten 12 and put that over b. Over here, we're going to do 10, and then 2 times 4 is 8. 2, and then x times y. And that's going to look a little silly, but that works for us. We're going to also keep this in our rules for our integers. Okay, so x is our base, and 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Over here, same rules. We're going to have negative 3 times negative 4, and 2 negatives, when we multiply, make a positive 12. Over here, we're going to have a and 3 times b, and remember, we write them without a multiplication sign. Over here, a little bit more challenging, we're going to have x, and then 2 parentheses, multiplying, and we can distribute that out. So we need 2x plus 2's, so 2x plus 4. And we can keep going with this when there's more than one variable inside our parentheses. Remember, when there's not an exponent, we're going to write a 1 so we don't forget about it. And we're going to keep multiplying, so it's going to be a squared plus b squared. And remember, this 2, even though it doesn't have an exponent, there's a 1. So it's going to be 2 to the third, x to the 6. Over here, it's still going to be negative x. 3 times 2 is going to be 6. Over here, remember, 2 has a 1, so 2 times 2, and a to the negative 6, because negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. Now we can kind of extend this a little farther by applying all the rules we've learned so far. So our first one, we're going to do the power to the power. We're going to multiply this 3 to everything inside. So it's going to become 4 to the third, x to the 6th, y to the third, times x to the 5th. Now we're going to apply our multiplying theorem, meaning we can add our exponents that have the same base. And we only have one with our same base, and that's our x to the 6th and x to the 5th. So it's going to become 4 to the third, x to the 11th, because we're adding 6 plus 5, and y to the third. Over here, we're going to have 1 over here, so it's going to be 5 to the negative 2, a to the negative 2, but we don't like negative exponents. Remember, we put those underneath 1. We do the opposite, the inverse. 5 squared, a squared. You could also write this as 125 over a squared. Either one is good for now. All right, over here first, before we divide, we're going to do our multiplying theorem first. So 9, 4 plus 2 is 6, 9 sevenths. So 6 minus 7 is negative 1. So since I don't want a negative exponent, I'm going to put over there. Now over here, we're going to have 1 y squared, I'm just going to rewrite this, times y to the third. And remember, we have our exponents writing, when we write fractions, we put them over 1. So now we can simplify this to look like y to the third over y to the second. And 3 minus 2 is 1, so this would just be y to the first, or plain old y. All right, and our last sample problem that I'm going to do with you is this big guy. He's kind of a little scary, so don't worry. We're going to do the numerator first. We're going to do 2x squared y times 9x y squared. So we're going to first multiply our whole numbers. We're going to have 9 and 2. So 9 times 2 is 18. Our next one, we're going to do the letter x. We have x squared and x. and that is going to be, so 2 plus 1 is going to be 3. And following, we're going to do y and y squared. Remember, y has the power of 1. Remember, when there's no exponent, it's always to the power of 1, not to 0, because 0 exponent equals 1. So now I'm going to have y, and 1 plus 2 is 3. Okay, again, just like we did for the other topics, you're going to write a summary about this in your own words, 3 or 4 sentences, doesn't have to be too fancy. Okay, you can even use bullet points if you'd like. You're going to come up with any questions you have, and then try some of the practice questions when we get into class. Good luck!